Nothing confuses a woman more than realizing the man she once had wrapped around her finger just doesn't seem to care anymore. You see, attraction isn't built by constantly chasing her, reassuring her, or proving your love. No. Sometimes it's the moment you step back, the moment you stop trying, that she starts seeing you in a completely different light. Welcome to Man of Value, where we break down the psychology behind relationships so you can move differently, think smarter, and stay ahead. Today, we're diving into reverse psychology, specifically how a woman reacts when she realizes you've lost interest. And trust me, her reaction might shock you. Most men are programmed to believe that if they like a woman, they should express it fully. Call her, text her, shower her with attention. But what happens when you do that? She gets comfortable. She starts taking you for granted. Your value in her eyes slowly declines. But here's the twist. When you pull back, when you genuinely stop caring about whether she stays or goes, that's when you flip the dynamic. That's when her emotions get triggered in ways she never expected. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about playing childish games. It's about understanding a fundamental truth. People, especially women, are drawn to what they fear losing. So, when she senses that you've detached, that she's no longer your priority, her mind goes into overdrive. She starts wondering, why? What changed? Did she make a mistake? Suddenly the power shifts. So in today's video, we're breaking down the exact reactions a woman has when she realizes you've lost interest. Some of them will surprise you, and some will make perfect sense once you understand how attraction really works. Let's get into it. 1. She becomes overly mysterious. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, the first shift you'll notice is that she suddenly becomes hard to read. She stops sharing details about her life the way she used to. Her words become vague, her actions less predictable, and her entire presence seems clouded in mystery. It's not by accident. It's a psychological move, whether intentional or not, to make you wonder about her again. Women thrive on emotional responses. When a man loses interest, it disrupts her sense of control over the situation. So, instead of confronting it head-on, she adjusts her behavior to regain that control. The easiest way? Becoming unpredictable and distant, creating a sense of curiosity that pulls you back in. Before, she would text you about her day, send you random updates, or even tell you about small things like what she ate for lunch. Now, radio silence. If you ask what she's been up to, she gives short, non-descriptive answers like just busy or life's been crazy, but no real details. If you used to see her Instagram filled with everyday moments, now she posts less frequently, or when she does, it's cryptic messages like, "Some things are better left unsaid," or "moving differently these days." This tactic is meant to make you second-guess your decision to pull away. The less she gives you, the more she hopes your mind starts filling in the blanks, and that's where she regains power, because the moment you start wondering what's going on with her, she's got your attention again. For example, let's say you used to message her every evening and she would reply quickly. Now, she takes hours, maybe even a full day, before responding with something short and detached. When you don't react, she suddenly posts a photo at a high-end restaurant with no context. Who is she with? Why now? She wants you to ask. She wants you to care. But here's the key. Don't bite. The worst thing you can do is start chasing, questioning, or trying to decode her behavior. The moment you react, she wins. Instead, you need to remain indifferent. Continue living your life as if you haven't noticed a thing. When she sees that her mystery isn't pulling you back in, she'll be forced to take a different approach, one that reveals how much your distance is really affecting her. 2. She becomes more feminine around you. When a woman realizes you're no longer as invested, something shifts in her behavior. The toughness, the attitude, or even the casual indifference she once had starts to soften. Suddenly, she's more delicate, more agreeable, and far more feminine in her presence around you. It's almost as if she's remembering what made you attracted to her in the first place, and now she's amplifying it. This isn't random. It's a psychological response to your withdrawal. When a woman senses she's losing a man's attention, her first instinct, especially if she still wants him, is to lean deeper into her femininity. She wants to remind you of her softness, her warmth, and her charm. The same traits that made you notice her before are now being intentionally emphasized to draw you back in. You'll notice changes in how she speaks. Her tone becomes softer, more inviting, and even playful. If she used to challenge you on everything, now she agrees with you more. The resistance you might have faced in past conversations is gone, replaced with an almost nurturing energy. She starts laughing at your jokes more, complimenting you more, and finding little ways to be more present. Even her physical appearance will change. If she used to be more relaxed in her style, she suddenly starts dressing up around you, more effort in her hair, her makeup, her outfits. You might run into her unexpectedly, and instead of her usual casual look, she appears more put together, more feminine. This isn't a coincidence. She wants to make you look twice. She wants to remind you of what you might be losing. For example, let's say you've stopped initiating conversations like before. Instead of confronting you directly, she might send you a simple but emotionally triggering message like, "I was thinking about you today," or "I miss the way we used to talk." This isn't just a statement, it's a strategy. She's trying to spark an emotional response from you, to make you feel something again. Another sign is how she starts treating you differently compared to other men. Around others, she might still have that same confident or independent energy, but when she's with you, she softens. Her body language changes. She tilts her head when listening, maintains deep eye contact, and finds ways to be physically closer. It's her way of pulling you back in without outright chasing. But here's what you need to understand. If this change only happens because you've pulled away, it's reactive, not genuine. The best move? Observe, but don't respond too quickly. A woman truly interested in you will remain feminine even when she feels secure. If she only shifts when she feels she's losing you, it's a temporary reaction. Stay in control and you'll see her next move. 3. She starts chasing harder. When a woman senses that your interest is fading, her instinctive reaction is to chase. This might seem surprising, especially if she was the one acting distant or indifferent before. But the moment she feels your energy shift, she feels an internal urgency to pull you back in. This is rooted in human psychology. People tend to want what they feel they're losing. When you were fully invested, she had nothing to fight for. She knew you were there, which made your presence feel guaranteed. But the second that certainty disappears, so does her sense of security. And that's when the chase begins. She starts reaching out more. If she used to take her time replying to your messages, suddenly her responses come faster. If she was once the type to keep her emotions guarded, now she's expressing how much she values you, making sure you know she's thinking about you. And if she previously kept you at a distance, you'll notice a shift. She becomes more present, more eager, more engaged. Her availability increases too. Where before she might have been too busy to meet up, now she's suddenly making time. She finds excuses to see you, to be in your space, to make herself noticeable again. Even small things, liking your posts more, reacting to your stories, sending random check-in texts, are all signs that she's trying to rebuild that connection. The chase isn't just about communication. It's also in how she carries herself around you. She might act more playful, flirt more openly, or even show signs of nervousness, as if she's suddenly more invested in your opinion. You'll see her making small efforts, wearing that perfume you once complimented, bringing up past conversations to remind you of your bond, or even revisiting inside jokes that only the two of you share. But here's where it gets interesting. Her behavior isn't always direct. Sometimes the chase is subtle. She might start engaging with people around you more, making herself more noticeable in social settings, or even creating situations where she knows you'll have to interact. She doesn't always need to explicitly say she wants your attention. Her actions will tell you everything. The more you maintain your distance, the harder she pushes. The more unbothered you seem, the more invested she becomes. Because at the core of it all, what she's really chasing isn't just you. It's the feeling of being desired again. And as long as you hold your ground, she'll keep finding ways to make sure she stays on your mind. 4. She becomes overly curious. The moment a woman realizes you're pulling away, her curiosity skyrockets. Suddenly, she needs to know everything: where you are, what you're doing, who you're spending time with. Even if she never showed much concern before, now she's tuned in, analyzing every detail she can find. This isn't just random behavior, it's a response to uncertainty. When you were fully invested, she didn't have to wonder about you because she felt in control. But now there's a gap in her knowledge, and that gap bothers her more than she'll ever admit. She starts paying more attention to your social media, noticing things she would have ignored before. If you post something vague, she'll wonder if it's about her. If she sees you engaging with new people, she'll start questioning who they are. Even the smallest changes, like a shift in your routine, suddenly seem suspicious to her, and it doesn't stop there. She might start casually asking about you through mutual friends, trying to piece together what's going on without confronting you directly. She doesn't want to seem desperate, but she also can't ignore the fact that something feels different. So, she finds subtle ways to gather information, whether it's through indirect questions, social media stalking, or even just observing your behavior more closely when you're around. Her curiosity also shows up in how she communicates with you. If you were once the one asking all the questions, now she's the one initiating conversations. She wants to know about your day, your plans, your thoughts, but more importantly, she wants to know where she stands. Even her tone shifts. Instead of the usual casual interactions, there's an underlying urgency in her questions. She might play it cool, but deep down, she's searching for reassurance that she hasn't lost you completely. And if you give her vague or distant answers, that only fuels her curiosity even more. The more uncertain she feels, the more invested she becomes in figuring things out. And that's the irony. By pulling away, you've made yourself a puzzle she can't stop trying to solve. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about where you are or what you're doing, it's about why you've changed. And until she finds an answer that makes sense to her, she won't be able to let it go. 5. She becomes overly critical. When a woman senses that you're losing interest, one of the most unexpected reactions is that she becomes overly critical. Instead of trying to win you back with kindness, she might start nitpicking everything you do. It might seem strange at first, but this reaction is actually rooted in frustration and insecurity. Before, when she felt secure in your attention, she had no reason to scrutinize your actions. But now that she senses you slipping away, she starts overanalyzing, questioning, and even finding faults in things that never bothered her before. It's not because she actually has a problem with you, it's because she's trying to regain control in a situation where she feels powerless. You'll notice that her tone becomes sharper. She might start making comments about your habits, your choices, or even your appearance. Things that used to be playful or light-hearted now come with a bit of an edge. She may say things like, "You've been acting weird lately," or "Why don't you ever text first anymore?" The underlying message? She's frustrated that she's no longer the center of your attention, and instead of admitting it, she masks it with criticism. It's important to understand that this is an emotional reaction, not a logical one. She's not necessarily upset with you. She's upset with how she feels. She doesn't like the uncertainty, the feeling of being ignored, or the idea that she might be losing you. And instead of being vulnerable about it, she channels it through irritation. For example, let's say you used to be available to her at all times, but now you're focused on your own life, your goals, or even just spending more time away from your phone. Instead of simply expressing that she misses your attention, she might say something like, "I don't understand why you're always so busy now. It's like you don't even care." In reality, what she's trying to say is that she notices the shift and it's bothering her. But instead of directly admitting that she wants more of your attention, she turns it into criticism. The best way to handle this? Don't get defensive. The moment you react emotionally, she wins. Instead, stay calm and unbothered. The more you hold your ground, the more she'll realize that criticism won't pull you back in. It will only push you further away. At the core of it all, her frustration is a sign that she still cares. But the question is, will she admit it? Or will she let her pride get in the way more? 6. She tries to make you jealous. When a woman realizes you're no longer giving her the same level of attention, One of the first moves she might make is to try and trigger an emotional reaction: jealousy. This isn't accidental. It's a calculated attempt to pull you back in, to see if she can still affect you the way she once did. She'll suddenly become more social, more active, and more available to other men. Maybe she starts posting more pictures looking her best, dropping hints that she's out having fun, or casually mentioning new male friends in conversation. The goal isn't necessarily to replace you, it's to get a reaction out of you. But here's the truth: if you take the bait, you lose. The moment you start questioning her, showing jealousy, or trying to compete for her attention, she regains control. She'll know she still has a hold on you, and from there, she can dictate the next move. And this is exactly where most men fall into the trap. Instead of standing firm, they start reacting emotionally, asking who she's talking to, getting annoyed, or even trying to make her jealous in return. That's the mistake. Here's where men need to wake up. If a woman is trying to make you jealous, it means she's seeking validation. And if she has to resort to this kind of manipulation, it means she's testing to see if you still care. The stronger move? Do nothing. Stay unbothered. Keep your energy focused on yourself. Women don't respond to weakness, they respond to strength. If she sees that her attempts to provoke you aren't working, she has no choice but to rethink her strategy. Either she'll drop the games and start acting right, or she'll disappear completely, which honestly is a blessing if she was only interested in playing mind games in the first place. Men need to stop feeding into this cycle. The moment you react, you reinforce the behavior. You teach her that the way to get your attention is through manipulation rather than genuine connection. Instead, set a higher standard. A high-value man doesn't chase a woman trying to make him jealous. He moves on, knowing that if she truly values him, she'll stop playing games and start acting accordingly. At the end of the day, jealousy tactics only work on men who are emotionally undisciplined. A man who understands his worth? He doesn't play the game, he watches from a distance and lets her realize that she just lost something valuable. 7. She doubts her own worth. When a woman realizes you're losing interest, it doesn't just make her question the relationship, it makes her question herself. Suddenly, the confidence she once had starts to crack, and she begins wondering what changed. Was it something she did? Is she not attractive enough? Did she misread the entire situation? This shift isn't about you. It's about the loss of validation. When a woman is used to being the center of a man's attention, that attention becomes a source of reassurance. She doesn't have to question her desirability because she sees it reflected in the way you treat her. But the second you start pulling away, that security disappears, and with it, so does her confidence. She starts overanalyzing everything. The things she used to feel good about, her looks, her personality, the way she carries herself, now feel uncertain. She might start comparing herself to other women, wondering if you've found someone better. She might even replay past conversations in her head, trying to pinpoint where things went wrong. And here's the thing. This isn't about logic. It's not about whether or not she's actually done anything wrong. It's about emotion. When a woman feels like she's losing her grip on a man's interest, it shakes her self-perception. She no longer feels in control, and that loss of control forces her to reevaluate her own worth. That's why some women react by doubling down, trying harder to impress, putting in extra effort to pull you back. Others go the opposite route, withdrawing completely out of fear of rejection. Either way, the shift in your behavior forces a shift in hers. And this is where most men don't realize their power. They assume that if a woman starts acting differently, if she becomes distant, moody, or even defensive, it means she doesn't care. But in reality, it's often the opposite. She cares so much that she doesn't know how to handle it. A high-value man understands this. He doesn't react emotionally or seek validation from her behavior. Instead, he recognizes that his presence, or lack of it, has an impact. And rather than chasing after a woman who's questioning herself, he lets her figure it out on her own. Because at the end of the day, the moment she starts doubting herself, is the moment she realizes she valued your presence more than she thought. And when that realization hits, she either comes back stronger or disappears completely. Either way, you win. 8. She comes back. Stronger or disappears. Completely. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, she will do one of two things. She will either fight for your attention harder than ever, or she will walk away for good. And the direction she chooses reveals everything about her mindset, her level of emotional maturity, and how much she truly valued you. Some women, when faced with the possibility of losing you, will come back stronger. They'll become more affectionate, more attentive, and more intentional about keeping you engaged. They'll put in extra effort, whether through their appearance, their attitude, or their willingness to meet you halfway. This reaction is fueled by the realization that your presence wasn't guaranteed, and now they feel the need to prove their worth. But there's a catch. If a woman only starts putting in effort after she feels like she's losing you, that means she was never giving you her best in the first place. She only stepped up once she felt threatened. And that raises the question, was her interest genuine? Or was she just reacting to the loss of control? A woman who only values you when she feels she's losing you is dangerous, because the second she feels secure again, she might slip back into the same habits that made you pull away in the first place. On the other hand, some women will disappear completely. Instead of chasing, they'll accept your loss of interest as a sign to move on. This reaction is often misunderstood by men. Some assume that if she walks away, she never cared. But that's not always the case. Some women have too much pride to chase a man who's slipping away. Others take it as a personal challenge to regain their own sense of value elsewhere. And some simply weren't as emotionally invested as you thought. Either way, when she chooses to disappear, she's making a statement. She refuses to compete for your attention. And while that might sting your ego, it's actually a good thing. Because if a woman is willing to walk away that easily, it means she wasn't as committed as you might have believed. A high-value man never fears either outcome. If she comes back stronger, he watches to see if her actions match her words. If she disappears, he respects it and keeps moving forward. The key is to never chase, never beg, and never compromise your self-worth for a temporary reaction. Because in the end, the way she reacts when you pull away tells you everything you need to know about her. And once you see the truth, you'll know exactly how to move. At the end of the day, how a woman reacts when she realizes you've lost interest is not about you, it's about her. It's a mirror that reflects her level of emotional control, her self-worth, and her true intentions. And the biggest mistake most men make, they assume that her reaction determines their value. It doesn't. A woman's reaction is her battle, not yours. Here's the harsh truth. A woman who only values you when she's about to lose you never truly valued you in the first place. Let that sink in. If she had to feel your absence to realize your worth, she was never giving you her best to begin with. She was coasting on your attention, assuming you would always be there. But the moment you pulled away, the game changed, and she had to decide whether to step up or step out. That's why a high-value man never reacts emotionally. He never scrambles to explain himself, never chases, and never tries to fix her response. He observes. He sees her reaction for what it is, a test of her character, not a reflection of his. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever noticed a woman changing her behavior the moment she felt you slipping away? Have you ever seen someone suddenly become more affectionate, more interested, or on the flip side, completely disappear? Drop your experiences in the comments. I'll be checking them out and responding. Let's have a real conversation about this. And remember, your value isn't determined by how she reacts. It's determined by the way you carry yourself, with or without her. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and never let a reaction define you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.